all of you need to shut up and stop holding that accountable and just go in and watch this movie and be respectful. What is up, everyone? It is Epictastic Joshua here if you're new here, or if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joshua Drake. I talk movies, TV, and on a few occasions, music and anime. We're going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the newest entry into this franchise, Bad Boys Ride or Die. This is the fourth entry into the Bad Boys franchise. This is 4 years after Bad Boys for Life. This is directed once again by Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. This stars Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Vanessa Hudgens, Alexandra Ludwig, Paola Nunez, Jacob Scipio, DJ Khaled, even people like Rhea Seho, Tiffany Haddish, Melanie Liburd, Eric Dane, Tasha Smith, and also, of course, Quinn Hemphill. When their late police captain gets linked to drug cartels, wisecracking Miami cops Mike Lowrey and Marcus Burnett embark on a dangerous mission to clear his name, even if it means them getting themselves at risk. I was actually really looking forward to another Bad Boys movie because the way Bad Boys for Life ended, it seemed like it could be a good place to end the trilogy, but at the same time, there was a part of me that wanted to see more of Mike and Marcus. I am a longtime fan of the Bad Boys franchise since I was a kid. Bad Boys 2 was my first Bad Boys movie I ever saw, and that was my favorite one. Even with its problems, it still is my favorite one. The first one is great, of course. Bad Boys for Life was a pleasant surprise during the worst year for everyone, and it just shocked us all that it was as good as it was. So I was really looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with this. Of course, I have my worries because when I saw the trailer, I was confused on why were they going with the specific plots, and also I was worried that because of the drama and controversies of the Will Smith incident at the Oscars, which all of you need to shut up and stop holding that accountable and just go in and watch this movie and be respectful. Those had my concerns, and it really did have me worried that this was not going to be that well loved. And hearing some of the early buzz about it, I became a little more hyped about it, but I was still concerned because of that Will Smith drama. But I can confidently say this is another good installment into the franchise. Now, it's nowhere near the level of the first two or even Bad Boys for Life, but I will say this is another good entry into the series. Starting off with the pros in this, obviously the number one thing I'm coming to this for is Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. These guys, they may be in their 50s or near 60s, but these two actors I've always loved as these characters. They still have the chemistry many years later. They still have so much they can do in this, and I really think they do a very good job in their roles. They do have a lot more personal stuff going on when it comes to Marcus in case of his diet and also his situation, but I think the way they handle it for the most part was entertaining. It did get some good laughs out of me, but it also was a little bit personal this time around for him. I really enjoyed what they did with Martin Lawrence's side of things there, and he is still funny to watch, and a lot of people was going on about health issues, but he had to clear that up. Martin Lawrence is alive and well, and he's still, even almost 60, he's still kicking it, and he's still very funny. I love Martin Lawrence. He's an underrated actor, and I'm glad to see him back in the spotlight. Will Smith, Academy Award winner, Will Smith. He's a great actor. It's the Fresh Prince. I've grown up watching this man, even with some of his movies that's not so great. He's once again fantastic as Mike Lowrey. They do more with him where he's getting married, and then as he's getting older, he's having panic attacks, which they do play on their age, and for some people, they're not gonna like that because some people just want them to be bad boys forever. But I appreciate the fact that they want to talk about their age and how they can't do certain things like how they used to be. But it's not to the point where they just dehumanize them into nothing. They're still very active. They still get the action scenes very down packed. And I thought those two were excellent here as well. Turning characters, we got Vanessa Hudgens as Kelly. It's great to see her in this again. She's not in it as much because she was pregnant at the time, but she's great here. Alexander Ludwig is doing was good. I am a little disappointed that they did not get Charles Melton to come back in this because I thought he was actually pretty good. I don't know what happened there. You also have Jacob Scipio as Armando. He's there. He does what he has to do. And I also really enjoyed Paola Nunez as Captain Rita again, the ex-girlfriend of Mike. Still a badass. She's now captain, and she's still fine as hell.
Kick ass.
Knock it off! What? Don't look at me like a lost puppy.
Try to keep up.
Been 4 years since I last saw her in the movie like this, but she's great once again. We got Dennis Green as Reggie McDonald. He was great here. Some of the new cast here. You also have like Rhea Seehorn. I thought was pretty good. Aaron Dane was pretty solid as James McGrath for the villain. Eon Griffith as the new love interest in the mayor of Miami. He's older now, but you know what? I think he's still a pretty decent actor. I really do like him, seeing him here. The actress who plays Christine, she was fine. She was serviceable. But there's moments where she is trying, but there's moments where I feel like she could have been a little better, but I think she did fine. And we have to get into the obvious, which is the recast of Teresa. In the original 3 movies, it was played by Teresa Randall. This time, it's played by Tasha Smith. It did take me a while to get used to her in the role of Teresa, which is not their fault because the original actress, she was seen on a walker, and according to maybe some reports, she is dealing with MS or she was sick or something. I wouldn't be able to tell, but I think she does fine for what she's given her. So the cast is good here. Directing wise, these guys are still very good directing wise. Adele and Bilal, they once again bring their crazy kinetic energy into it. You can tell they are a fan of the Michael Bay first 2 films, but they want to inject their own style into it. The way they shoot the action with using the camera and some of the signature trademark action scenes. There's one shot in particular where there's a one shot between Mike and Marcus and you're following their point of view like a video game. And it goes a little Fast and Furious like, which I can say that's a little bit of a nitpick with some of the action here. But it wasn't where I was getting kicked out and getting thrown out of it. I was still very much immersed into the action. And it just makes me a little more curious, but also frustrated to see what they could have done with the Batgirl movie here. They are 2 great directors from Belgium, and they keep it up with stuff like this or stuff like Miss Marvel or something. I could see them really being pretty successful in this genre. But the action is still great, it's still hard-hitting, and it's still awesome here. I will also say there are some standout moments here. There is one moment with Reggie that I didn't expect. I really enjoyed. Cinematography-wise, by Robert Hayevert, you still get the Miami feel. It's very colorful, very bright, but it doesn't go too colorful with it, and I think the cinematography looks great for the budget they have. $100 million. There is a lot of practicality in action with stunts, and the action choreographers is the actors doing it themselves. Even though there's probably maybe a few moments where you could say it's some visual effects work, but they do use it to the best of their advantage. The editing is still very fast paced. It's an hour and 55 minutes, and for the most part the pace keeps going. And the score by Lorne Balfe is once again really good. Lorne Balfe, as a composer, he is not disappointed. And when you're talking about music, you gotta talk about that soundtrack, because that soundtrack is badass. I love it, and it is kick ass when it comes to it. I also really enjoyed just a lot of craziness in that they were giving you here. And the story was just as good, if not better, than the first one. There are some contrivances in here that I wasn't really big on in terms of the story, but I really did like where the story is going with these two characters. Also, them on the run, and then you have the Miami ammo team trying to help them even when they don't have their best backup. But also dealing with some personal stakes with daughter of Captain Howard, which that I thought was gonna get on my nerves, but it didn't really get on my nerves with Rhea Seehorn. And also Quinn Menfield. This is my first time seeing her. And honestly, I want to see her in more things after this. She has a potential here. Honestly, what I don't like in the movie, like I said when I'm describing the plot, I will say this is a bit of a nitpick here. There are moments where it felt a little predictable with the villain. You know what his plan is, you know where it's gonna go. But I thought the villain part of the acting side of it was still pretty good, that I was able to forgive it. And I will also say there was moments in this plot where I felt like some things were a little contrived and they just kind of did it because they had to, like Captain Howard being involved with drugs, which they never really said that in the last movie or such. So I feel like there was a way you could have worked that in a little bit better. Some of the humor, a lot of the comedy made me laugh. I was laughing out loud. But there was moments when it comes to the diet, and also when it comes to some of the humor, that wasn't as strong as the first three. And some of the humor is kind of was hit and miss in the second movie as well. But I feel like the humor in those first three movies was still mostly blended very well. Just some of the comedy here was a little bit iffy here. I will say the last issue here is there is maybe just a few sluggy moments of pacing here, but that's really my only real issues when it comes to the movie. But overall, Bad Boys Ride or Die, I really enjoyed this once again. I thought this was another entertaining entry. I can see why some people were not looking forward to this. I can understand if you are someone who went into this and didn't enjoy it. But this is just meant to be a fun summer blockbuster. If you go into this knowing what you're going to get out of this, it's going to be very entertaining here. It does have its issues, and also there's moments where it does go a little bit too fast, too furious, but it's nowhere near as cartoonish as that. But I would be curious to see at least a few more, maybe from Martin and Will, before they give it to Vanessa Hudgens or the characters, let them take over. And if they do more, we'll see what the story they can do then. But ultimately, I did enjoy this movie and I had a great time watching it. If you are someone who is a fan of the franchise, go watch it. If you're someone who is nervous about this because of the Will Smith thing, take that stigma out of your head and have yourself a good time. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.